And then we're going to talk about how to do tshuva, to repent, that is to say, to be able to create a situation in which you can undo mistakes almost. So we're going to try to work on that tonight. But first of all, of course, you know that Yosef had a dream in last week's Parsha that the 11 stars and the sun and the moon are bowing down to him. We're going to learn that there is no such thing as a dream, as legitimate as it might be, or as strong as it might be, or as good as it might be, that in fact doesn't have some degree of nonsense in it. And the reason for that is because as people, as human beings, we all have a little element of nonsense in us. A little shtus, you know, a little shtut. So there's no such thing as a person who doesn't have a little bit of quirkiness, a little bit of goofiness, or a little bit of ego, a little bit of how good do I look tonight, you know, and stuff like that. Everybody's got that. Of course, the idea is that the sensibility should overtake, and you should have a little more sense than nonsense. That would be the goal of life. Joseph had this dream about the sun and the moon and the 11 stars. The 11 stars representing his brothers, the sun and the moon representing his father and mother, all bowing down to him. And of course, there is the element of nonsense is the fact that his mother cannot, because his mother has unfortunately passed away. So that's one lesson we learned. But of course, on the other hand, the 11 stars, or at least 10 of them anyway, did bow down to him, didn't they? In fact, they all did in the end. Even his father did. Why? Because when they all came to Mitzrayim, which will happen next week, they all come down to Egypt, and they all will come to accept and understand that their young little lad has become a great sovereign power. Nar Nasa Melech, the youngster became a king. And so, even I guess the father, I mean, if your son is the president of the United States, you got to recognize that your son's a big shot. you have to have that concept. So that's some of the truth elements of the dream. The other dreams, of course, include the dreams of the butler and the baker, whom we talked about last week. The butler's dream was interpreted by Yosef that the butler is going to die in 3 days. He's going to hang. Not the butler, the baker. Sorry, Sarah Mashkim, the bartender, as it were, he will be free in 3 days. And Yosef interprets the both dreams. So let's look at the sheet we have on top over here. Dvar Torah, dreams, Parshas Vayeshev. Let's learn a little bit. That's with last week's Parsha. Let's learn a little bit of some of the rules of dreams. Number one, a dream is 1/60th of prophecy. It's a Gemara. It's in Gemara Brachos, Brachot 57b, Nun Zayin Amud Bet.
Even dreams now?
Yeah. See, let's explain prophecy. Let's make it a little bit easier. Prophecy is an absolute imperative part of our belief system. And we test people all the time on the 13 principles of faith. One of the major principles you have to remember is that there is an agency, there is a transmission called prophecy. Otherwise, there'd be no way for us to know Hashem or to know what Hashem wants. So prophecy's got to be the method. The greatest prophet of all, Moshe Rabbeinu, his prophecy was the clearest of all, and it was panim el panim, face to face. That means that the clarity with which Moshe Rabbeinu experienced and perceived the truth of Hashem and what He wants from us, in order for us to achieve the desired goal of what He wants for us, that was perceived by Moshe Rabbeinu in its utmost clarity, in the clearest form possible. This clear form is an indisputable truth that we find contained in the 5 books of Moses and the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. This is the essence of what it's all about, as far as we understand our role, what we need to do. Other prophets had lower forms of prophecy. The method by which they understood Hashem was through not so clear. If we are to understand that the distance between Hashem and us, the gap, is of course from the created to the created, is one of impossibility to understand what the Creator is. It's impossible to imagine or understand what He's all about. So all we do know about Him is that He made us. So, therefore, we have to try to experience it from our own perspectives. The closer we try to get to Him, the more spiritual we become, the more access we have to His spirituality, the more we can try to understand what it means to be not physical. In order to do that, you have to be less physical. Eat less, drink less, sleep less. And the more you do, the more you are able to do, the more you will perceive of Hashem. The more time you give to spiritual matters, the more time you spend thinking about spiritual matters, the more intensity with which you try to think. This is the challenge. Moshe Rabbeinu did the best of any human being ever. He got as close as anybody could. If he would have gotten any closer, he would have died. Why would he have died? Because you get that spiritual, it can't be physical at all. The physicality of who we are, the limitation of space and body and time and so forth, and our own the physical limitations, there's no way. To receive God means that you got to be totally not physical. You got to die. So, in fact, when Moshe Rabbeinu was in Har Sinai, he was so enthralled with the experience, he wanted to die. And Hashem said, no. This is not your time. Klal Yisrael needs you. Go down, give them the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments, give them the Torah. They need to have it. And so, as we continue life, people do get spiritual highs and greatness, but in so doing, what happens is that they become more spiritual, but they cannot achieve what Moshe Rabbeinu achieved. So therefore, their spiritual prophecy is less. That's why they can't disagree with, argue, or change what Moshe Rabbeinu did. So their prophecy is a limited one, which affirms and confirms Moshe Rabbeinu's ultimate truth. But their visions are limited. And people, even simple folk like us, can, if we are unencumbered, that means we don't have the obligation of the nonsense that we live through in life, we could, Lavana, you must sit down. You must sit down. Here's a seat right here, it's waiting for you. Your name is on it. And so, we have when we sleep, when we dream, we can have really incredible dreams. Of course, we have to get ourselves into the zone for it. One of the good ways to get into the zone for a good night's dream, say Shema before you go to bed. You're into Hashem already. So maybe you're going to dream something good or something that might be true. The great Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Herman. Yaakov Yosef Herman. Okay, the story is a story that will knock your socks off. Yaakov Yosef Herman was a man who came to America in the late 1800s, was left behind by his parents who went back to Europe, and somehow or another he not only managed to stay religious as a Jew and keep the mitzvahs as he grew, with no yeshiva around, no teaching around, no Rebbe around, no nothing. Almost like Avram Avinu all by himself. Yaakov Yosef Herman eventually became the kind of person that became so empowered and so strong. He became a powerhouse of religious experience And as the times began to change and more religion was developed, he was the leader. Not a rabbi, but a great leader. And impacted loads of people. He sent his son away to learn in the yeshiva. In Hebron, 1926. The great Hebron yeshiva, Hebron, Ir HaAvot, Barak HaMachpelah, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and all on them, right? Buried there. Great yeshiva was there. In the year Tarpat, 1929, the Arabs went on a riot. Why did they go on a riot? They were upset with the state of Israel. They didn't like the government of Israel. There was no Israel. What's the matter with them? What's the matter with them? Maybe they just don't like Jews, maybe. I don't know. They went on a riot. The Arabs like to riot a lot sometimes, and they went on this riot, and it was really devastating. It must have killed about 70 or 80 yeshiva students. Some managed to escape. It was a bloodbath. It was horrible. The word Tarpat remains for us a constant reminder of an enormous tragedy. Tarpat, and so the yeshiva then relocated. It wasn't safe in Hebron anymore, and they relocated to Yerushalayim. And of course everything's gone through different metamorphosis. And then the Arabs took it over in the 48 war. Then we took it over in the 67 war. And it's still relative. A lot of Jews still live there. And just recently someone was staying over there. Maybe 6 months ago, 4 months ago. Anyway, the reason for the story is because Rabbi Yaakov Yosef's son, he wanted his son to learn in the yeshiva that he didn't have an opportunity to do. So he sent his son to Eretz Yisrael, to Hebron, in a time when the land was barren and empty and backward, and there was nothing there. And he went and he learned, and just about towards the end of 28, he wrote a letter to his son and he said, "Come home. Time to come back to America. Come back to New York." And his son protested and he said, "I don't want to go. I'm enjoying my learning. This is terrific. I'm glad you sent me. I don't want to go home." And he insisted. And he said, "The reason I want you home," he came up with a reason, "because you're old enough to go out on the shidduch already. It's time to get married." And he said, "I can find a girl there." And this is going back through snail mail, you know. Yeah. There's no even boats, no airmail either. This is not right. And finally, he says to him, "You have to come back." So then he writes, "I got a great shidduch. I met a girl, wonderful girl, and her father is very rich. And he promised me that if I marry his daughter, he would make sure to support me to learn for another 5 years." Wow, what opportunity! And his father said, "Come home." What could he do? He had no choice. He had to listen to his father. He was upset, unhappy. Came home. Maybe 2 months later, turned to 1929, and the tragedy erupted in Hebron. His father literally saved his life. Now, what did his father see? So who knows what he saw? He had a dream. He thought. He just had an instinctive feeling. The prophecy from Hashem in some highly disguised manner. Certainly not. I think he recorded that he had a dream in which there was a bird cage, and in the bird cage there were 2 birds, and one bird got loose and flew away. The other bird was ready to fly away, and he caught him and put him back in the cage. That was the dream. And as it turned out, he had a daughter who died from natural causes in the disease, never early in the years. But this boy he saved. So it almost matches the dream, so to speak. And that's why he was so insistent that he come back. Maybe he knew, he thought he could. Did he predict Tarpat? Did he predict that a tragedy would happen? Who knows? But whatever it is, that's the story. Now, it's in the book. And if you want to read a book about a great man, go out to the store and buy a book called All for the Boss. That was his motto. It's written as a biographical sketch of him, he did not allow it to be written. He did not want any notoriety. And his daughter begged him. His daughter was an extraordinary woman who I had the privilege to meet. And her son, years later, was my high school teacher, was my high school Rabbi. And she wrote the book about him. Her name is Ruchama Shane. Anyway, so the book is all for the boss, and it's all about this motto that this man had. He wasn't called a rabbi. His name, he called himself Mr. Herman. His name was Yaakov Yosef Herman, and the book is named All for the Boss, and it's all for the boss. What's his motto? I do everything for the boss. That's all I want to do is for the boss. That's all I live for. So all for the boss. Anyway, the postscript, the PS to the story, I will not tell you now. But if we have time later, I can tell you. It absolutely blow your mind. What sometimes thoughts can happen in the person's mind if Hashem wants to send it your way, and if He does, pay attention. Anyway, all of prophecy, all of dreams is a 60th of prophecy. There's something in there. No dream has total nonsense. No dream is total truth. That's what we're teaching. Number 2, 3 dreams will always come true. If you have a dream early in the morning, towards the end of the night, it's a good chance that dream will come true. B, a dream that was dreamt by a friend for a friend. Got to be friends, though. If you have such a dream, it'll come true. 3, a dream's message that was understood during the dream. That's a rarity, but that also will come true. Some say, number 3, this includes a dream that was dreamt a second time. Now we learn this from this week's Parsha. Yosef's explanation of Paro's dreams, plural, in this week's Parsha, Bereshit 41. Yosef told Paro that even though his 2 dreams were different, they really were one dream and being repeated. 7 good cows, 7 bad cows, 7 good ears of corn, 7 bad ears of corn. All the same. Yosef then told Paro that the fulfillment of this dream will come quickly because it came immediately one after the other. In other words, it's happening. The dream repeats itself, even if in different fashions, but it's definitely a repetition. That was Joseph's genius. Joseph understood that the dreams were not different. They were the same in different forms. Because he understood that, that's why Joseph understood that the dreams were chick-chock, in a row. And that's why he can say it's going to happen chick-chock. It's going to happen right away. And of course it did. The 7 good years began right on the spot. And followed immediately by the 7 bad years. Everybody knows about the 7 good years and bad years, right? I don't have to tell anybody? Everybody knows? Right? Okay. Number 4, it is impossible for a dream not to have some untruth or foolishness. We talked about that. Number 5, even though part of a dream will come true, not all of it will come true. That's also in the Gemara, same place. Number 6, when Yosef dreamed that the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed to him, there was a reference to his mother, father, and 11 brothers. It was impossible to come true completely because his mother had passed away. Still, his 11 brothers bowed to him in Egypt years later. Number 7, this story also proves that a person may expect a dream to come true even after 22 years. It took 22 years later for this dream to come true. Because we said last week that Yosef was 30 years old when he stood in front of Paro. He had left home at 17 being kidnapped and spent a year in Potiphar until the wife accused him falsely, and then spent 10 years in jail, then 2 more years. We're going to talk about those extra 2 years before the evening's out. And at the age of 30, he stands in front of Paro. And he predicts 7 good years, 7 bad years. 7 good years pass, he's 37, and all the food is being stored away. 2 years later, the Torah says, in this week's Parsha, Yaakov tells his sons, go down to Mitzrayim, there's food over there. So when they go down, okay, they meet Joseph. Now, when they come in, they didn't come in normally. And Joseph accuses them of being spies. Maraglim atem. Maraglim atem, you're spies. He gives them a rough time. Well, listen, they gave him a rough time.
Why did he accuse them of being spies?
Oh, great question. So the answer is because why?
He knew them.
He knew them.
Yes, he knew them, but how did he get away with that? What legitimacy to the accusation?
They came in through different gates.
Okay, they came in through gates. So they came in through 10 different gates. 10 guys are counted, right? Obviously, of the 12 tribes, the 12 sons, Joseph is in the triumph. The youngest Benjamin is kept back. So there's 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 going 10 different ways. Why did they do that? Certainly
They were looking for Joseph.
They're looking for Joseph. Why are they looking for Joseph?
Because they didn't believe that he had died.
Why? And why was that
They
important
perceived
for
that he
them?
was
Why was that important for them?
indentured servitude. Because they had a promise to their dad that they were going to.
Because they're going to be scared. They messed
Well,
up.
basically, they hoped he wasn't dead, number one. And basically, number two, they saw that their father refused to be
comforted.
So they had Jewish guilt.
Well, I guess they were Jewish. But it was, I mean, when we talk about the crime of selling Joseph into slavery, which was last week's Parsha, and we want to say that they really never gave him a chance to defend himself. We talked about that last week. The reality is that the real crime was what they did to their father. To cause him that grief and torture was absolutely nearly unforgivable. We're going to learn tonight that there is such a thing as forgiveness even for that. We're going to figure that out. In any event, what's the bottom line is that they come in, Joseph holds them as spies, and gives them a rough time. Is he trying to be vengeful to them?
No. He's testing them to see if they've changed.
He wants to see if they can do true. So he gives them a rough time. He takes one brother and puts him into prison just to show off his power. Who's that brother?
Reuben.
No.
No.
Reuben's a good guy.
Benjamin.
No, but Benjamin wasn't even there. Shimon. Because why? Shimon and Levi are two brothers together are a lot of trouble. They killed out a whole town of Shechem. They're the ones that wanted to kill Yosef. It's Yehuda that saved them, sent them into slavery. These two guys together are dangerous guys. Maybe alone they're okay, but put them together, watch out. So he takes Shimon and puts him in the jail. Anyway, number 8. A man only has a vision of those matters that occupy his heart and thought. If that's all you think about all day is baseball, that's what you're going to do. If all you think about all day is rock and roll, you're going to dream rock and roll. It's up to you. Whatever you plan on, whatever your day is filled with. Now, maybe my day is filled with more meaningful matters like my job, making a living, balancing the budget. Well, then you think about those things at night. And if they're meaningful to you, then your dream is meaningful. And at the end of the day, it may be a whole lot of nonsense also, isn't it? I mean, so you balance the budget. It's a big deal. So you found some income and you found some, and then you spent the money anyway. At the end of the day, what are we really made up of will be reflected in the nonsense of our dreams or the seriousness of them. And by the way, dreams don't always happen at night. They also happen during the day. So, again, what are your thoughts? My brother-in-law once told me a good word. He said to me, my wife's brother, he said, a person is physically where his thoughts are spiritually. I'm thinking of Jerusalem, that's where I'm at. I may be in LA, but if I'm thinking about Yerushalayim and the Kotel, that's where I'm at. That's where you're really at. So, again, number 8, a man will only envision those things that occupy his heart and his thought. Number 9, all dreams come to realization, and the outcome depends upon the interpretation. What does that mean? That means that we talked about the two guys in the Gemara last week. Both guys had the same dream. Each guy comes and says his dream, and the interpreter, who's well known to be a good interpreter, says, how much money you got? So maybe you might think that you're driving down Hollywood Boulevard or something, see those psychic stores or those other crystal ball seances or whatever. So they think that maybe they're one of those guys, whatever. And of course, they were going to ask you how much money you got too. Now, one guy had a lot of money. He interpreted the same dream for good. The other guy had not any money. Interpreted his dream. The guy died. So I mean, the interpretation has impact. So therefore, when Joseph interprets the dreams of the bartender, the Sarah Mashkim, and the Sarah Ophim, the baker, when Joseph interprets those dreams, So it affects, it impacts what's going to happen to those guys. And Joseph interprets the dreams of the bartender and says, you're going to be free in 3 days. Now, the baker says, whoa, how about me for a good interpretation? Joseph says, sorry, ain't going to work for you. So the interpreter has some power here. And that's Joseph's charm, and Joseph's talent, and Joseph's ability. He can make good predictions. I'd like to meet him someday when I'm making an investment in the stock market. Which stock's going up, which going down, you know? You want to meet a guy like that and tell you where to invest, where not to invest. In fact, there's a story in the Gemara about 2 sisters that died young, and they were in a certain cemetery, and a man went to visit them in the cemetery, and he asked them questions about whether or not the year coming will be productive, non-productive. Will it be exciting? Will it be? Will it have a lot? Prosperous and so forth. How will the crops grow next year? And they told him. The sisters told the guy which crops to plant and which not to. Other people, without that information, planted crops that didn't go anywhere. Their crops went everywhere, and were total successes. So the idea is to realize that the interpretation has a big impact. Number 10, halacha. A person who has experienced a bad dream and is distressed should remedy the problem by reciting a prayer, making the dream good in front of 3 friends. And the prayer is called Hatavat Chalom. It's in every Siddur, in most Siddurim anyway, and you should look toward the end of the Siddur, but you should look for it, and it's a valuable thing to do. And that's a long big one-pager of lots of different prayers, a lot of different one-liners that you say, and then a friend responds, and you say, and a friend responds. And even if you say half of it already, it makes a change, makes an impact. It can do the thing. Person starts off by saying Chalma Tava Chazoi. In Aramaic, I have seen a good dream, even though he hasn't. They friends respond, number 12, Tovu Tova Leve Dachamana Leyash Lashave Leta Letav Sheva Zimnin, 7 times. So now as you say this prayer 7 times, Ligzeru Allah, it should be decreed upon you, Min Shmaya from heaven, the Lahave Tava, it should be good, the Have Tava, as you continue to be good. And that's how the response goes between a man and his 3 friends. This means in English, it's good, it may be good, Hashem transform it to be good, to be better, decreed upon you 7 times from heaven, and it's good, it may be good. Number 14, it is appropriate for one to fast upon a bad dream, even on Shabbos. Do you hear this? But it's got to be pretty bad. If you really have a very disastrous dream, a frightening dream, you should fast on Shabbos. However, number 15, fast another day during the week to atone, to ask Hashem for forgiveness for having fasted on Shabbat.
Why don't you just postpone the fast day for the dream?
Great question. And the answer is?
Maybe you can't.
The answer is, when you have the dream and you feel pretty horrible about it, that's the time to fast. Not when you've let it go a day or 2 and you feel not so bad about it anymore. Right? You got to feel the pain. Number 16. Negative dream, which causes sadness, is bad enough that the dream doesn't have to come true. Listen to number 16 and say it over. A negative dream, a bad dream, which causes you intensive grief and sadness, could be so bad that the dream doesn't have to come true anymore. You've already been punished. Just for the tsar you feel. Number 17, it is appropriate to recite another prayer to make dreams good at the time when the Kohanim bless the people during the repetition of the Musaf Shmon Esrei on Yom Tov. This prayer is found in the article, Siddur on page 696. It should be recited twice when the Kohanim are singing. It's an important lesson to remember. Okay, now, Yosef tells the Sarah Mashkim and the Sarah Ofim, he says, Zachar Tami, remember me. I don't belong here. It wasn't right for me to be put here. It's not right. I'm accused falsely. I'm here 10 years. Zachartani, remember me. And the Saramashkim, after being freed, promptly forgets him. It says, V'lo zachar, he didn't remember, vayishkochehu, and he forgot. So obviously those two words are the same. If you didn't remember, then you obviously forgot. We answer it's not the same. To not remember means to not remember immediately. In other words, the day after it happened, you're free, you didn't remember. You go preoccupied with all the happiness of freedom, whatever it is, you know.
Recall.
You have no recall at all. To forget is after a period of time, it's gone completely from your mind. You have no recollection of it whatsoever. It doesn't even cross your mind. So you hear, if something happens that you want to remember, that's really important. Chashuv l'zkor. So then what you have to do is remember it on the spot and review it over and over again, 2, 3, 4 times to make sure it's inside you. This way, you won't let it pass. Because if it does pass, a couple of days, passes through time, you're done. You'll forget it. Experience never happened. So, we have to say that the bartender was not a very appreciative fellow. Lo haya lo hakarat tov, saramashki. He had no appreciation whatsoever for what Yosef did. Okay? So he's a louse. How do you say louse in Hebrew?
Louse?
A louse. You never heard the word louse. American slang. How do you say, what's a louse? What?
Laos,
Kinin. No, that's lice.
Lice.
No, it's an English word. It's English. A louse, right? You know the word. It's a louse. A stinker. A bum. A bum. There you go. Best word of all. My favorite word. A bum. A lousy, no good, down, low down bum. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, Paro has these dreams, right? 7 good cows, 7 bad cows. What?
Tapil.
Tapil?
Tapil.
Tapil. Never heard of it. Okay.
Like a bug? Like a bug?
Nah.
Tapil.
Tapil is like a bug.
Maybe.
Tapil.
Maybe. Okay, the reality is that Paro has these dreams, 7 good cows, 7 bad cows, 7 bad cows eat up 7 good cows, they don't get any fatter. He's completely confused. Now, there are people that try to explain it to him. It says that they potrim, the interpreters, lo patar la Paro. They didn't explain it good enough for him. They gave explanations. He didn't like them. He came up with, well, you're going to have 7 daughters, and 7 daughters will die. Same 7 daughters will die. 7 good cows, 7 bad cows, Sheva Banot, and Sheva Banot Yamutu will die. So he didn't like that. Why would you like it? Because besides, dreams go after the interpreter, no? The guy tells you that, it's going to be true. Chas v'shalom. So then the Sara Mashkim says, "Et chata'ai ani maskir hayom." I now remember my mistake, my sin. What's my sin? I know a guy that can do this. I know a guy that can help you. In prison, the Bitachon, I was there with a Nar Ivri Eved, with a young Hebrew slave. Now, that's not a nice way to introduce somebody. He's a Nar, he's a baby. He's an Ivri, he's a foreigner. He's an Eved, he's a slave, he has no royal blood in him. He's just but he has this one talent. Now you ask yourself the question, how stupid can this guy be? I mean, he's introducing an opportunity for Paro. You know how much favor he will gain from Paro if Yosef does the job right? And you know Yosef's going to do it because he's got the talent to do it. So why do you introduce him so negatively? Because if Yosef does succeed in interpreting the dream, he'll get no points at all. Stupid. Idiot. The answer is, we know that there is two things in life, two emotions in life that ruin your judgment. Ahava mekalkelet hashura, sin'ah mekalkelet hashura. Love makes you starry-eyed, and hatred makes you crazy-eyed. And you do things that rationally you won't do. So you have to be very careful with all emotions, even love, certainly with hatred, that you lose it and lose yourself and make wrong decisions. In haste, you'll come after a guy and you'll slam him. You'll be sorry later. In haste, saw a beautiful girl. Look at it. What about the fact that she's an airhead? What about the fact that she's going to give you trouble all your life? She's pretty. So, at the end of the day, you got to use your head. This guy is filled with hatred. He hates the foreigner. He hates the fact that he's a slave. He's a nothing and nobody. And such a guy has no appreciation. Even after all these years, he has 2 years, he has no appreciation. Yeah, I remember the guy can do something. But he introduces him so negatively to the extent where he does what? He self-hurts himself. He self-destroys. Why would a guy do that? Why would it? Because his hatred consumes him to the point where he introduces him negatively and loses all the opportunity to get some good report or to get good credits. He can get good credits with the paro. And he forgets it. Because why? Because he's just Malay sinner. He hates him. He hates Yosef. Resents him. And the guy did you nothing but good.
Yes.
Did you favor. So he introduces Paro. Introduces Yosef to Paro. So Yosef comes in front of Paro, and guess what happens? Here's an amazing story. Yosef is told, let's go. Get now. You would imagine his joy, right? Vayiritzuhu. And they made him go fast. Let's go. Paro's waiting. And then the pasuk says something very strange. Vayigalach vayichaleh simnotav. He shaves himself, cleans himself up. He must have had a long beard, a long hair, whatever it was, in prison, and he changes his clothes. And they're telling him all the time, hurry, Paro's waiting. And he says, I gotta change. It says, Vayiritzuhu b'lashon rabin. In the plural, they're making him run. But when he stops to clean up, it's singular, Vayigalach, Vayichameth, not Vayigalchu. So what's the point? The point is, he says, listen, I gotta look nice in front of the king. So the question is, what's Yosef's point? Yosef has always been accused of being a little vain, you know. He had that hairdo, remember that hairdo back then? And he was 17 years old, right? And he, and of course he got his good looks, got him in trouble with his boss's wife. He's a guy that, you know, does have a little vanity there. Does the vanity continue? Says Rashi, no. Rashi says he did it mishum kavod hamalchut, to wants to honor to the king. So what does it mean giving honor to a king? It means recognizing that a man in position has a certain power, and he's got to that position from a certain blessing from Hashem, and you have to respect that position, whether you hate his guts or you don't. So how many people like Trump? How many people don't like Trump? But you got to respect the God's president of the United States, for God's sake. To be disrespectful, that's sickening. Yeah. That makes no sense. Now, there was a president before that named Obama. I hated the guy. But he's still president. I mean, he still have to have some respect. Goodness gracious, he's got a position, for God's sake, you know? And I think that this concept of Kavod HaMalchus, of honoring a man in position, is, first of all, there's a bracha that you're supposed to say when you see a king of Israel. If you look at your Sidurim, there's also a bracha you're supposed to say when you see a king of a foreign nation. You see the president, or you see the king of this country, the king of that country. These are people that have been graced and blessed by Hashem and deserve your respect, if nothing else. Today in America, press conferences are a disgrace. How these reporters go after the president is insane. It's insane. I mean, it makes no sense. Yosef says he's a melech. He's a melech. So he goes in front of the melech, and the melech sees him well dressed and this and that. And he says, I heard about you, you're good with dreams. And Yosef says, Biladai, Zelovani. It's not me. It is Hashem. Elokim yanet shlom paro. God will help you get the dream you need, the interpretation you need, the message you need. And there seems to me from the Torah a continuous ongoing, almost dispute between Paro and Yosef. I say it's you. I say it's God. And it's a continuing thing. Now, at the end of the day, who's going to win this argument? Whoever persists. Now, there are many people that come up with a lot of honesty, a lot of humility. Anivut. They say, it's not me, it's not really me. But after a while, you persist, you say, if it's really you, you're really great, this and that. Well, thanks, Now you see people perform, let's say they're performing in a show, right? Say a singer or a comedian or whatever. So the audience begins to applaud, right? And he goes, please don't. Why is he doing that for? Here's someone who doesn't think he deserves applause. He's a faker. He can't wait for the applause to come. He's a liar. Because the truth is that he doesn't really mean it. It's fake humility. So we have to determine here, is Yosef's humility honest or fake? Given his track record, I would imagine that it would be fake. I mean, the guy loves attention. There's nothing else. Why does a person make himself look good? For attention. But Rashi says no. Rashi says this time he got dressed for a different reason. To really give honor to the king. And the king is going to look at you in your eyeballs to see if you're really true or you're a fake. And he's going to watch you. And he's going to see you. And he can pick out who's genuine and who's not genuine. And of course, he keeps on saying, it's you, I heard about you, you're great talent, you can make dreams and this, that, and that. And he says, no, it's not me, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem. Hashem can do the whole job. So this continuing thing goes on and on and on, in a way in which finally, after Paro, Yosef gives the interpretation to Paro, Paro accepts the interpretation. Yes, 7 good years, 7 bad years. Good food, prosperity, 7 bad years of despair. Well, why would Paro accept that dream better than the dream than let's say the seven daughters dying, being born, 7 daughters dying? Well, why would this be any better of a dream? Yes?
Just a thought.
Or a better interpretation, I should say. Yeah, why?
Not just that I mean, somebody dying, you can't really do anything about that, but he came up with a plan. Came up with a solution for it. So
Fade hot tonight. That's good. That's good. That's good. You're right. He came up with a solution. You understand? He said, here's what we can do. We can gather all the food together in 7 good years, put it in storehouses. We'll have plenty during the 7 bad years. So Paro immediately is impressed with him. He says, Ein navon v'chachom kamocha. There's no great smarter guy than you in the world. And finally, Yosef keeps on fighting with him and says, listen, I told you before, and I'm telling you again, it ain't me. Okay, Paro says, don't lose your temper. Take it easy. Keep your shirt on. He says to him, okay, you want to give credit to God? Give credit to God. Okay, I agree with you. And it says in the pasuk, it says over there in the pasuk, where does it say it over there? Give me a chumash. Give me a quick one. I'll show you what it says. Paro says to Yosef, he says to him right over here, okay, I got you. He says, Vayomer Paro lavadav, Paro says to his servants, Hanimtza kazeh ish. Have we ever found such a man? Asher ruach elokim bo. That he's got the Spirit of God. I agree. So now how do you test a man's humility in terms of whether he's fake or not? Whether he can convince the other guy of his humility. Now listen. I'm nothing. I am nothing. And I will strangle you if you disagree. Okay, you're nothing. When you get the other person to agree to your nothingness, ani efes, b'zeu, v'gamaynu, ani klum, akol HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you get the other guy to agree to that, you understand, then it's real. I'm not putting on a show here. I'm genuine. This is not me, it's Hashem. You got to know that, Paro. Now, Paro could look at him and say, you know what? Thanks for the interpretation. Good move. Good deal. We'll get to work on your plan. Go back to jail. I mean, after all, it's not you. What need you around for? You said it was all God, right? Thanks. Goodbye. Do you think that Yosef possibly, that thought could have entered his mind? Do you think it's possible that Yosef thought that he could be sent back to prison?
Yes.
Easily. So, in fact, why did he do it? Because this time is a little different. This time his vanity is gone. At a really crucial moment, exactly when you need your vanity, when you need your ego, that's when you throw it away. Now that, friends, is tshuva. Says the Rambam, if you want to do complete tshuva, the way to do it is a situation will occur where, let's say, last time it occurred you did something pretty rotten, and all of a sudden the same situation reoccurs, and this time you don't do the rotten thing. This time you change. This time you do. Yeah? That's tshuva. Now, don't create the situation for yourself, because you don't know if you're going to mess up or not. But if Hashem creates it for you, now, I told you about my friend. He had this impossible inclination. He couldn't stop. He loved Pink's hot dogs. So I told him, stop driving down the Bray, you idiot. It's going to make you nuts. He smelled it from the car.
Is he here?
Yeah, he was learning here. But if you can drive down some other street and avoid La Brea, and on that other street there's another Pink's, and this time you truly resist, that's tshuva. Complete tshuva. You see? The situation and the scenario recreates itself from Hashem, and you hold back this time, and you do the right thing. I'm driving down the street, and I see an old lady trying to get across. I really would like to help her, but I can't. I mean, my heart goes out there, but I'm busy. I got 3,000 appointments waiting for me. I can't go. I can't stop. Then I go back and say, I feel so bad. What a terrible thing I just did. I failed to do an important mitzvah. 2 days later, I'm driving down the street, and there's the same lady, and the same trouble getting across. This time, I parked the car, and I'm late to my appointment to help this lady cross the street. Yeah, tshuva? That's how it works. To really change is real tshuva. And you know what it does? What does it accomplish? It accomplishes that you throw away the sin and it's gone. What an amazing opportunity. Think of all the mistakes you made in your life. Think of all how I'd love to rectify it if I had another chance. And somehow, sometime, somewhere, Hashem gives you that chance. And this time you do the right thing. Isn't that amazing? That's tshuva. Tshuva works because, you see, tshuva means that you're not the same person that did it anymore. Whoever did that mistake last time, he's not here. I'm different. I'm a different person. Therefore, Hashem can't punish you for what somebody else did. Therefore, the tshuva is real, the past is gone. Chalaf ha'avar. So, do you understand? Yosef's had this problem for a long time. And the problem is what? The vanity. He's combing his hair. He's got this coat of many colors. He's really cool. And a really debonair and a real good looking guy, you know. And I was 17. I was 117 too. I can tell you about it. It was kind of a cool time, you know. And you thought you were the coolest guy in town, you know. And of course, I spent my fair share time in front of the mirror. Obviously, there's nothing left to do it with, but in those days, there was plenty to play with. And I ran through combs like Sherman went through Georgia. And, of course, Yosef is so egotistical that he'll even say bad things about his brothers. And he thinks he's his father's apple of his father's eye. He's the peachy keen of his father. Father loves him the best. He was going out to reconcile with his brothers last week's Parsha. That's true. He never got a chance to give himself a chance, and he got thrown into slavery. And I imagine that Yosef, despite his sadness and crying over being thrown away and being away from his father and his family and his surroundings and being in this foreign country, Egypt, looked up to Hashem and said, I know it's my mistake. I'm sorry. Please help me to do tshuva. But then again, Potiphar's wife, she must have been drop dead gorgeous. I don't want to know what it was, but he couldn't resist her, you know, and he finds himself in the house alone with her. And finally he sees his father's picture and runs away from the woman. But he got himself into trouble. Same mistake. Same immaturity is the word. Immaturity. In Hebrew we use the word lo b'shel, lo b'shela, right? Right? He isn't cooked yet. He's not a lo b'shel, right? Or well, for girls, lo b'shela, right? Okay, so I mean, she spends 10 years in prison. And you know, folks, 10 years in prison grows you. It makes you realize that stop playing games already. Grow up, because you have great destiny. You are handsome, and you are good looking, and you are talented, and you are brilliant, but use it for the right things. Not for your foolish, selfish indulgence, and for your silliness. Use it for right things. Become the man you can be. So, of course, in the 10 years, he gets this opportunity with the 2 dreams. And then he makes a classic mistake, and he says, please remember me. And we want to say, Chazal teaches, the Gemara says, he did a wrong thing. He shouldn't have asked to be remembered. He should have grown up enough and matured enough to trust Hashem. And he didn't. And because he asked the bartender to remember him and get him out of prison, he was punished with another 2 years. How does the Parsha begin? Parsha Mikeitz, Shnatayim Yamim, 2 years passed. He loses, he has to sit in prison another 2 years to grow up completely. Now the question is, what did Yosef do wrong? Is it so bad that he asked the guy to help him out? What was wrong about that? What was immature about that? What was vain about that? What was so wrong? I mean, goodness gracious, if you were in the same situation, what would you do? Okay, I spent 10 years in prison, I'm growing up, I got an opportunity, it must be an opportunity from Hashem. Yeah. Please remember me.
Yes.
It bothered me for 10 years in my life. 10 years, I couldn't understand what he did wrong. Yeah, good, but
that's only natural.
Wait. So let's talk about relying on Hashem for just a moment. We call this in Hebrew Bitachon. What's the Bitachon? Not the security services, not Sherut Bitachon, not the Shin Bet. We're not talking about the Shin Bet here. We're talking about Bitachon b'Hashem. Trust in God. Trust in Hashem. So what it means? It means that, well, let's see now. I trust in Hashem. Comes Monday morning, I'm not going to go to work and earn my money. I'm going to sit back and relax. The one will come to me. I trust in Hashem after all. I got a better idea. Why should Israel have an army to fight the Arabs? Trust in Hashem, we'll be all right. So we all know that that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Because it says, Ein somchin al nes. You're not allowed to rely on miracles. If miracles come, take pleasure in them, enjoy them, be joyous over it, and thank God, like Hanukkah. What a miracle. But you got to do your bit, you got to do your stuff too. Yes. What is your stuff too? What is your mission or your responsibility called in Hebrew? Hishtadlut. You hear that word? You got to be shtadel, you got to try, you got to do your thing. then Hashem will help you. Now, in Hishtadlut, here's the key. I'm going to make Hishtadlut this Monday morning. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. At the end of Friday, I get a paycheck. And the paycheck's for all the work I did. But before you cash that check, look at the bottom of the check to the signature. And you know what you'll find? Hashem. He signed the check. If you can work, do your thing, and not believe that it's you that's doing it, and believe that your entire success is Hashem, and you're just doing it because you're supposed to do it, you're just trying because you're supposed to try, then you will succeed. That's real. That's the combination of Hishtadlut and Bitachon. Do you see the balance? Right? I'm not all Bitachon, I'm not all Hishtadlut. Now, if I'm going to do all Hishtadlut, I can say, you know what? My best day in business is Shabbat. Therefore, I got to go to God. You have to understand, I have to make my Hishtadlut. I have to work Shabbat. After all, I'm in Hishtadlut. I got to try. I got to do my best. Right? So therefore, since my best day is Saturday, I'm working Saturday. When we said it, that's wrong. Why? Because Hishtadlut, you understand, requires a balance. There's a limit to Hishtadlut. Do your thing and let Hashem do the rest. Work hard, do what you're supposed to do. At the end of the week, realize it's all God. So, based upon this theory, based upon what I'm just saying, what did Yosef do wrong? Do you agree with me that this is a very definitive question, that it's a good question, that it's a problem that I wrestled with this problem for 10 years, maybe more. I don't understand it. Now, of course, it's not the Torah, it's not Yosef, it's me. I don't understand the story. I got to get to the bottom of this. What did Yosef do wrong? So, right, okay, you want to say, go ahead.
So it was his duty to preserve his life and
Right.
in
And try to get out.
to get out, but it was not his job to rely on others to get a
Yeah, but if Hashem presents in your way the opportunity, it's like Hashem gives you an employer. And the employer looks at you and says, you know what? You are really talented for this job. I want you. And you say, no, I don't want the job. Hashem will take care of me. It's ridiculous. The bartender was there for you. He was presenting. Hashem gave you an opportunity. How many of you know the story of the flood? You know, so how's the story of the flood go? The guy stands on there's a flood going on, right? And he the guy trusts in Hashem. So and now they say it's evacuation time. So everyone starts evacuating. He doesn't evacuate. Why not? He believes in Hashem. Hashem will save me. So now the water's rising here, it's up to here, and he doesn't know what to do. And they send a boat for him. Forget it. I don't need a boat. Hashem's going to be with me. I'm okay. And he's out now. The water's rising to the top of the house. He's on the roof, you understand? And he says, I got no problems. And they send him a helicopter. They get him out of there, right? And he says, Don, I don't need the helicopter. Hashem's with me. Anyway, he drowns. The guy's dead, right? The guy's dead, right? The guy's dead. He's up there in heaven. And he says, go on, I'll get you. I trusted you the whole time. Why didn't you save me? And he says, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. What's the matter with you? Yeah. Did you get the message? Yeah. So Hashem sends you a bartender. What's wrong with asking him to give you a help?
Wasn't his intention?
What are you saying?
Putting your power in that person.
Well, not completely. Well, let's put it this way. Rashi does say that because Rashi says that he asked him twice. He should have asked him once.
Remember,
he said the word remember twice. He should have said it once.
Well, he should say, Hashem, remember me.
So he went out too far, too excessive. He didn't have the proper balance. That's basically what you're saying. He went a little too far. He should have trusted in Hashem, but trusted and should have had a balance. He didn't have the balance. Instead of asking the bartender once, he asked the bartender twice. So therefore, Rashi says, that's why he was punished with 2 extra years, because he said the word remember twice. So when asked the question, what was wrong with the first time? He messed up the second time. Punish him with 1 extra year in prison, not 2. The first time he said remember me was a right way to do it, right? The second time he went too excessive, so he should be punished with 1 year imprisonment. Do you understand, right? So what are you saying?
It's the balance between emnuah and actions in the scroll.
Okay, and he didn't. The balance didn't work. So he should have been punished with 1 extra year. So Rashi wants to say, commentators want to say in Rashi that in reality it really was 2 extra years, and both requests were incorrect. Why? Because since he went excessive on the second, that reflected on the first one that his thoughts were improper. That because he said in the second one, please remember me again, that means in the first time he wasn't trusting, he was already trusting excessively in the butler. Anyway, now Yosef has another chance. This time it's in front of Paro. This time he says to Paro, I got a chance to get out of prison this time. So when I told the bartender to remember me 2 years ago, I said, remember me, Zachartani. Means I took too much credit. I should have given more credit to Hashem, and I didn't, so I blew it. Says Yosef, after 2 years, I finally figured it out. I finally got the proper balance. And this time, when he gives me my talent, I'm going to tell him it's all from Hashem. I'm going to change, be different. Same situation, but this time I'm going to be different. And we said before that's real tshuva. That's the real change, right? And how do you know he's not faking? How do you know he's not faking when he gets dressed? They're hurrying him up from the prison, and he says, he's got to get dressed, he's got to look nice for the king. Says Rashi, he's not doing it for vanity this time.
He's doing it for Hashem.
He's doing it for the Melech of Paro. He's honest with Paro, you see? He's respecting Paro. Paro sees that. Paro says, you're not up here to win brownie points for me. You're not up here because you want to impress me. You're not up here because you're trying to get freedom from me. You're up here because you genuinely want to help me. You, I trust. The rest of my bums that are my servants, I don't trust a one of them. They're all after some gift or extra opportunities. They're all opportunists. But you're not here for yourself. You're here because you want to help me and you want to help Mitzrayim. You have a humanitarian issue here. Your issue is not yourself at all. All of a sudden, the immature, self-centered, egotistical person that says, I'm not here for me at all. I'm all for Paro, for the Melech Mitzrayim, for Mitzrayim. I'm here to do good in the world, not to indulge in the world. A whole change in personality. Now, it took him admittedly 12 years. Now, I know guys that takes a whole lot more than that. I can tell you guys that I met to the 45 that are still immature and still playing with their hair, even as it's going. I once had a professor in college. This guy, he was bald up on top completely, and he had just the back. You ever seen those guys? He let his back go down all the way down to here. I don't go to the days. I want to walk all along. This guy's bald on top and all the way down here. He's got his long hair. Idiot. Yosef does go through a metamorphosis. Yosef changes. Yosef makes shinuyim, and he becomes a different person. And that's what Paro impresses Paro. He says, okay, you're right. I agree, you're right. It's God, it's not you. But it's you I want, because you got God with you. It's you I want to be my prime minister, to be Rosh Mimshala. You have Hashem with you. Every place you've gone, you've succeeded. Then you messed yourself up a little bit. But everywhere you place, whatever you did back home with your parents, with your father and your brothers, you were successful. Except then you got into trouble. Then you went down to Potiphar, and you got yourself into trouble again. But you were doing well, weren't you? He was the top man by Potiphar. Then, of course, you went to prison. And you did well there, too. Everyone loved you in prison. You were the best guy there. But you got a little vain again. You got a little panicky. You said, oh man, there's a chance to get out. And you forgot to give credit to Hashem. Now I see that there's a whole change in Yosef. And Yosef, nothing can ruffle his feathers. Nothing can make him panic anymore. He's got good control, good balance. He's mature. And he's changed. And he's done tshuva, different person. Says, Paro, you're the man I want. Now, therefore, Yosef becomes the boss. In becoming the boss, what happens is that they make a big parade. Now, This parade goes down Broadway in Manhattan. They have Macy's Fifth Avenue. This is the biggest parade of all. Right? And this big parade, who's being featured on the parade? Who's waving to the crowd? Yosef. And there are women all over the place throwing themselves at him. Marry me, marry me, marry me. And Yosef doesn't look at a one, except one. Who's the one? Asnat. Asnat has an amulet from Yaakov Avinu because her mother was Dinah. And when Dinah got herself into trouble, Dinah was sent out. But Dinah had the amulet, gave the amulet to her daughter. Her daughter now is in Mitzrayim. And Yaakov and Yosef says, that's my destiny right there. And no longer is bothered or ruffled or disturbed by temptations. A whole different person, Yosef. That's tshuva. Now, to give one more point, what does it mean to have kavod and melech? So I talked about extensively. Respect for a man's position. Whether you like him or you don't.
Yes.
You gotta respect the guy. So I once said, and I'll share with you a personal matter, I said this my father's funeral. And it's talking about my father, his funeral. I talked about this story about Yosef having respect for the king. And I would have imagined that the Paro would look at him and say to him, where'd you get this midah, this quality of having respect for a king? Where'd you get this concept of kavod melech? What kind of person are you? You're different than everybody else around here. You're more genuine. You're more real. And I wanted to say a suggestion, it's just a thought, it's blockism, that he looked at Paro and he said, I'll tell you why. You know why I have respect for a king? Because I know what a king is. You know how I know what a king is? Because I lived with a king. My father was a king. I could see the power, and I could see the royalty, and I could see the nobility. I could see the greatness in my father. Therefore, it taught me that respect for great people, leadership people. So I want to say a little bit about my father, the blessed memory, that he really was very, very much a very powerful and influential part of my life, and my father, what he impacted me in many of the things that I did. I find, interestingly enough, at least 50% of the decisions I made in my life of importance were all because of him. It's really interesting. Maybe more, but the point is that you have that experience. And when you have that experience, you see a great person in your life. We've talked about seeing great people. That's why I wanted everyone to come when they had a chance to see Rav, what's his name was here on Sunday. What was it? Rav was here. And to see great people who give their lives for the Torah, give their lives for mitzvahs, give their lives, have no sense of selfishness whatsoever. So we talked about it, and I wanted to say the thought about Yosef. Because when he was being carried through the streets on the parade, they threw out a name to him, and the name was Avrech. You're an Avrech. Says Rashi, there's no such word in Hebrew. Never heard of it. What's Avrech mean? Avrech means two words. Av,
Father,
Rach. Father, soft. Father in wisdom, soft in years. Av b'chokhmah, Rach b'shanim. You're a young man. Young men don't think in terms of nobility and giving and contributing. Young men think of fun, games, what can I do? I want to have a good time. Well, when's the next party? When's the next event? When's the next excitement, you know? That's how people are. Younger people are anyway. But all of a sudden, you find some young people that think more than just for today. They think about tomorrow and the day after. They think about the future. They have a sense of the future much longer than their years. I mean, a 23, 25-year-old person doesn't look beyond his nose. I'm having a good time, you know? And what about this, that, and the 30, 35, 40? Who thinks in those terms? You have to. If you do, then you're an Avrech. We now take the name Avrech, and we use it in modern Hebrew to describe a person who gets married, and the couple, husband and wife, want to become in the kollel. They want to learn. And they call him an Avrech. young women who know they're going to be living in deprivation and not lots of money, say, I want that. I want to marry an Avrech. I want to marry someone who's learning, but he's not going to make as much money as somebody else. This guy is a lawyer, a dentist, a doctor, with this and that. You make lots more money. I don't want that. I want a man who's dedicating his young years to learning, to doing mitzvahs. But when you go to the kollel and you join as an avrech, you and your wife and your young wife and your little children, you're going on substandard salary. You're not going to get a salary of a man who's graduated medical school, or a man who's graduated law school, or a man who's in business. I want more than just what's immediate. More money, more this, more possessions, more furniture. No, I want more than that. I want something forever and ever. I want learning. I want Torah. I want to be able to perhaps have a little less of today and a little more for tomorrow. That's how people think when they're an Avrech. Yosef grew up to do that. Now at the age of 30, Yosef is an Avrech, chooses the right woman, and becomes the leader and the Moshe of Mitzrayim. Now this whole story will repeat itself. Next week in a different scenario of how, again, someone else does tshuva. Who's going to do tshuva next? Say it again? The brothers. And that's Yosef's whole plan. Now that he sees them at the age of 39, he says, I know tshuva can be done. I did it. Therefore, I want to help my brothers do it. So I got to do enough to create enough difficulty for them so that they can also experience the change. We'll experience that change next week. Yes?
So it's kind of like
Right, absolutely. 100%. Measure for measure. Last thing I want to say for tonight, please take a look at these here. You'll enjoy them. They're great lessons on how to have real trust in Hashem, real faith in Hashem. It's called 10 Ideas to Prove Trust in Hashem. There's one page. Another page is a whole essay on Bitachon. It's great stuff. It'll help you a lot in a lot of different challenges you face in life. Last point for the night, before we celebrate for Hanukkah. The end of the story of Yaakov Yosef Herman. He saved his son from Tarpat. Remember that story? Right. He saved his son because he had an instinct that one bird flew out and the other one didn't. He saved one bird, he lost his daughter, but he saved his son from the atrocities of Tarpat and Hebron, and he brought him home. Listen to the end of this story. It's a kid. No one kid, but enjoy it. Yeah. I don't want the kid, but you will really, really get a perspective on how a simple Jew can have insights. Listen to this. And this was told to me by his grandson. I met his grandson. His grandson learned with me for a little bit of time, gave me some time, and helped me out a lot. His name was Yosef Stern in Yerushalayim. And I met him just recently, and we sat together, and he said, let me tell you more of the story. Part of the story was printed in the book, the other half wasn't printed. Certain things you just can't put into print. But this, I can tell you. So I feel I can tell you too. He comes home, rather reluctant, rather upset. Why did I leave Israel? I was learning so well. Everything was going beautiful for me. And I met this wonderful fellow, and I met this wonderful girl, his daughter, and we were going to get married, and he's going to support me. I'm going to be an Avrech for 5 years. Wonderful! He's got big vineyards over there outside the outskirts of Yerushalayim. And he's making lots of money in those days. I mean, they were poor. But he was one rich Jew in 1929. The father said, I don't know, I had a dream, the birds, and one flew out, one flew in. I felt you had to stay in Tarpat, you didn't want to be destroyed. He says, good, okay, Tarpat's over, I want to go back there to Israel. I want to go back to learn. Now, the yeshiva, for that part, moved from Hebron to Yerushalayim. That's another part of the story. They restarted Hebron Yeshiva after 1967, after the war and after the state of Israel became. But in those days, when the state was Israel wasn't existed, it was Palestine, and the Arabs were crazy. And I don't know if it was crazier now, crazier then. Whatever it is, he wants to go back to Israel to learn. And his father's resisting. He said, it's not right. Stay here. I got a better girl for you. She's here in America. No, I want that girl. No. So they had this dispute, this machloket. And the dispute was, does a father have a right to tell his son who to marry? So in this question, they went to the Gadol Hador, to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. They lived in the same neighborhood, the Lower East Side of Manhattan. So they went to Rabbi Moshe. Moshe sat, and he listened to the two arguments, father and son, and he paskined, and he said, the father has no right to tell his son who to marry. That's the decision. So of course, the son felt vindicated, felt he was right. And as they walked out of the Ramesh's office, or his apartment, where we lived in those days, so as they were walking out, he looked at his father, the great Yaakov Yosef Herman, and he saw such anguish on his father's face. His father's face was contorted with pain. Pain! Even I lost the game, you win. The halach is like you win. But he's in pain. So he said, even though the halach is like me, that I'm right, I don't have to listen to my father who to marry. Nevertheless, I can't bear to see my father's pain and anguish. I can't. So he stayed here, and he forgot the girl, and he married a lady in America. Just as a P.S. to the story, that lady he married, so they had a daughter named Goldie. Her name was Goldie Herman. Goldie Herman introduced me to my wife. That's part of the story. Anyway, that's it. Anyway, so
Rabbi,
yeah.
do you know my cousin, her husband, is his great nephew?
Your cousin?
Yeah,
Who's that?
she lives in Jersey.
What's the name?
I don't remember.
Shane?
It's been
Not Shane?
no. It's been so long since we were.
Find out. I'd like to know. I mean, this is a great story, great book, and great. Anyway, the end of the story. In August, or in July and August of 1939, 10 years later, all the children are now married and having families. Yaakov Yosef Herman, a pioneer in America in the 1880s, who fought for religious life when there was no popularity for it at all. He fought for it so badly, so strongly, that he would walk into weddings he wasn't invited to, Jewish weddings, right? And he would carry a big sign. Boys and girls should not dance together. It is forbidden by the Torah. And these are people, he had a lot of courage. He didn't care that people would throw stuff at him. And this was a man who fought for Judaism. It is forbidden to boys and girls to dance together. And he disrupted the whole wedding. Anyway, his kids didn't know what to do with him. I mean, but he was an outrageous person, you understand? He's all idealism. There's nothing else. There's nothing there. Who cares? They throw apples at me. What do I care? Anyway, he decided with his wife, I want to move to the Holy Land. What's in the Holy Land? It's 1939. The state is 10 years away. The place is empty. There's no food. There's no jobs. There's no nothing. How are we going to manage? It's ridiculous. Don't do it. I want to go to Israel. So the book records the story that he tells his children, gather them all together, I'm going to Israel. Abba, Ima, what are you doing? This is crazy. There's no place in Israel. There's no place to live. There's hardly anything to do anything with. How can you do it? It's crazy. It's too much. It's too difficult. You establish a life here in America. You establish Torah leadership in America. You establish religious life in America. You have the wonderful children, grandchildren, and thousands of students. What are you doing? He said, something tells me I have to go to Israel. Again, whenever something tells Yaakov Yosef something, you understand, he feels it in his bones, you understand, he knows he's got to do it. He writes a prediction that he had a dream, that in the year 1991, there will become an upheaval. He died, by the way, in 1967. He passed away. So he said, I predict in 1991, there will be an upheaval in America, in the world. Maybe it might be the time of Mashiach. Now we know 1991 came to pass, there wasn't Mashiach. But we also know that in 1991, the Berlin Wall fell, and that the Soviet Union, Iron Curtain, came down. And Jews were freed from Russia by millions. there were 3 million Jews in Russia that were freed in 1991. Anyway, on the basis of that prediction, one of my dearest friends, maybe you know, that David was listening to shul all the time, his name is Steve Rubin, Shmuel Chaim. Steve Rubin decided, I'm going to spend a year in Eretz Yisrael. So he picked up his wife and his 3 kids, and he went to Israel, and he learned for a whole year. Based upon what was written in the book. Based upon a prediction. Anyway, he predicted over here, it's time to go to Israel, 1939. But the war, the clouds of war are all over Europe. Nazis are are all over the place. Well, how can you go to Israel now? Stay in the safety of America. Nope, go to Eretz Yisrael. He gets on a boat, and he travels on a boat. He gets to Eretz Yisrael. They come in Friday, on Friday they come in rather late. The boat docked late. So he says, and this is recorded in the book also. He says, the Shabbos, I can't wait here for customs, for the mechas to be able to determine what I'm carrying, not carrying look at my luggage, out of my luggage, keep the luggage, I gotta get out of here. You want me to give up luggage or give up Shabbos? That's more important. Your life's possessions or Shabbos? That's more important. See, he says, the only one thing I want is my Sefer Torah. He runs through the luggage, grabs the Sefer Torah. He and his wife grab a cab, run up to the top of Haifa, and they find a place for Shabbat, and that's it. But they tell him, look here, we can't be responsible. The British officers were in control of the port at the time of the Namal. We can't be responsible to take care of your belongings because maybe the Arabs are all over the place here. They're unchecked. You can't control them. And they'll go through all your, and take care of everything. And steal everything. Anyway, he says, you can have it. I am not going to break Shabbat. So he goes to this place for Shabbat with his Sefer Torah and his wife. And it's a pretty difficult Shabbat for them. She's worried about her possessions, this, that, and that. Anyway, at the end of Shabbat, he says, okay, let's go down to the port and just see maybe something's still left. And as he comes down to the port, and it's real dark and deserted, right? He hears walking, and someone yells out in the British accent, who goes there? My name's Herman. Oh, you? You're that Jewish rabbi that left all the stuff here? I lost my weekend because of you. They made me stay here and watch all your stuff. Not one item was lost. There's what we call your efforts and your bitachon, your trust. Now I'll tell you the last part of the story. That was not in the book. On the boat, I'm out of tape. On the boat, he's strolling on the deck one evening, and he sees a man, a Jewish man, a religious man, in fact, who's standing over the what they call the railing, and he's staring at the water, and he's very morose, kind of a very, very bad face, very depressed. He says, young man, what's the problem? Can I help in some way? Oh no, my life is messed up, I don't know what to do. What's your problem? He says, I just got married. What's wrong with that? Well, he says, she's a fine girl. But, and she's very wealthy. I mean, her father owns vineyards outside of Jerusalem. But she can't have any children. Do you see the story?
Mm-hmm.
Yaakov Yosef Herman subconsciously saved his son from that marriage. He knew something. Who knows what? So, when someone, you hear an instinct or you hear someone teach you something, pay attention to it. Your mind is giving you signals. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Please don't leave. Let's enjoy Latkes, Sufganiyot, celebrate Hanukkah together.